James Elite Love Expert Steam Cleaning. What we're going to get into this video is 10 reasons why water extraction is crucial for water damage. Water extraction is very important. Right here we have our Monsoon 250 2-inch vac hose. It's the big one. We're not playing around when we are getting to our water damage projects. So we have to have 2-inch vac hose, the big one. This is because we can get more water in quicker. We'll pull more water out of subsurfaces off the top and everything like that. So that's why we got that. And we want to show a visual. And here's the visual. We're not always going to have visuals in our videos, but right now we got a visual and it's pretty nice, ain't it? Pretty cool. So let's get into it. Here are the 10, and let's start with number 10. Prevents electrical hazards. Water that seeps into walls can damage electrical systems. Rapid extraction reduces risks of shorts and electrical fires. So we all know water with electricity doesn't mix. We don't want that situation popping up for you. And us getting to that water, removing that moisture with the extractor is a great way to ensure that that doesn't happen for you. Okay, very important. Houses have electrical. Sometimes they got to turn electrical off when we're working. That's why we have a generator. And we're gonna have a video where we talk about the top 10 reasons why you need a generator for water damage restoration. But right here we're on the extractor, and yeah, we want to prevent those electrical hazards that can pop up from walls being wet and different things like that. There's so much different electrical nowadays that's on the ground with computers and internet and so much. Electricals went crazy, but water is just important. That's the tool we use. It's vital to drink and to stay clean and things like that. So, but they don't mix. They're separate systems, and when that water gets out of control, it can be challenging to keep them separate, especially when there's 2-story, 3-story, and 4-story houses, basements, and things like that. So we definitely want to be in a position where we are removing that water as soon as possible. So that's very important. Next, facilities insurance claims. Prompt professional extraction provides documentation that you took necessary steps to mitigate damage, which is required by most insurance. So if you want your insurance honored, right, which that's what we all want, so we don't got to come out of pocket. The insurance, there's so much different fine print in there. So something you probably don't know is in your homeowners or your business or your renter's insurance, it says that you need to react within the first 12 hours of damage. Now, this is why it's so important to have an emergency fund is you want to have those funds to pay out of pocket if you need to or put it on a credit card because you will get reimbursed. And the policy could cover a lot more. But now when we talk about exclusions and stuff trickling down, we don't want that for you. So have that, you know, protection of your insurance, have that in place. And a great way to ensure that you're going to get that protection in place is with the, water extraction. Okay. Next, eliminates persistent odors. Removing stagnant water prevents the growth of bacteria that causes foul, lingering mildew smells. So if you notice areas where water's been sitting, not moving, circulating, things like that, start to get a stench, start to get a smell. This can create mold and mildew. Disgusting. That smells not good for you, and we don't want that for you. So when we get in there, we can, ensure that you don't have those odors and things that can really mess up the feel of your home or your business, your property, whatever the case is. We want to, ensure that doesn't happen. So the extraction process is very important to make sure that doesn't happen. We get in to make sure that, your property gets the water removed so you don't have that problem. Okay. Very, very important. Don't forget that. Let's see. Next one, prevents structural collapsing. Very important. Let's get into it. In cases of severe flooding, removing weight from structure prevents um, ceiling collapses or foundation failure. So, as this water builds up, right, like in the ceiling and in different areas, it's important to get that water out because if it keeps building up in the ceiling, it's going to start bowing and then come down. And that drywall is going to come down. All the water is going to come down. Also, at the bottom, that bottom level of drywall, it can, collapse, cause structural damage. You talk about subfloors upstairs. Most of the time, that's with wood, and that can cause bowing and that creaking sound that you hear in wood and stairs and things like that. So we don't want, collapsing and things of that nature. That's why you want to get in and remove the water as fast as possible to prevent that from happening. Okay. Next one, accelerates the drying process. Extractors remove the bulk of the water instantly, allowing for dehumidifiers and air movers to finish the drying of the property much faster. So the extractors get in there and take care of, that heavy water, that smell, that level 1, level 2, or level 3. But, we also have air movers, we also have dehumidifiers, and those are going to get in there after that and finish off the drying process, okay? Very, 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 very important to get in there and do it properly, okay? But what comes first? What comes first is the extractor. That's what comes first, okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's why you see this 2-inch right here. Yeah, you see it. That's why it's here, because we're not playing around. It's no point in playing and letting that water sit around and do all that damage. So once we get this in there, now we can get in the dehumidifiers and the air movers to, make sure everything is dry. Very important. Like, we don't want to play around like that. Okay. Next, minimizes health hazards. Standing water breeds bacteria and mold, which causes respiratory issues, allergies, infections. Extraction makes the environment safe again. So getting sick, also people have kids and dogs and things like that, also pre-existing conditions. We don't want you getting sick. We don't want you missing work. We don't want you missing events that you like to go to. We don't want none of that happening. So, with us, getting the extraction process going, we can ensure that that doesn't happen. We can ensure that there's a lower percentage of that happening. And that's ultimately what we want. We want a lower percentage of something like that happening. Okay. We don't want you getting sick. We don't want your kids or your dogs or any animals like that getting sick or breathing the stuff in or licking it or none of that. We want to remove it. We want to get everything back to where it needs to be in the best condition possible. Okay. Let's see. Next one, saves personal belongings. Prompt removing water from carpets, furniture, and personal items increases the chances of salvaging them before they're ruined. So when you talk about water on areas, there's a big chance that they could be damaged, right? Long term, right? We talk about carpets, you talk about plushies, you talk about all this stuff, rugs, all this stuff. It can hold long term damage. So that's why we got to get in there and remove the water off of there, hardwood floors, all that. It can, we don't need that, right? So, you know, we want to make sure we get in there and extract that water. It could be stuff hidden in places that you didn't even know was there, clothes, all that stuff. So we want to get in there and, help out their personal belongings. Very important. Next one, reduces total repair costs. Swift extraction limits the extent of water damage, reducing the need for expensive and extensive renovations. So a lot of times when we talk about this water damage, right, it can cause deep problems. Okay. So with those deep problems, now we talk about drywall having to get cut out and all that stuff. We get in there as quick as possible. We can save your baseboard. We can save your drywall. We can save your carpet, right? Because I don't know if you looked it up recently, but that carpet could be thousands of dollars, right? And is that what you want, to have to pay thousands of dollars to replace carpet? I'm pretty sure that answer is no. So if we can ensure that that's not going to happen, that's better for you. And we want better for you. Better for you, better for us. Okay? Okay. So next is protects structural integrity, right? Removing water from floors, walls, and foundations prevents from rotting and weakening of building materials like drywall and wood. So behind your walls, right? Like in the front, you see the drywall, but behind there, there's wood, right? So if that buckles, now we're talking about more expensive repairs. 'Cause that's the foundation of the walls. That's where the drywall is set on, that backwood and things like that. So getting in there and getting that water extracted as fast as possible prevents that sitting water from getting in there and causing more damage. So, that's not what you want. And that's not what we want either. So, what we're going to do is we're going to get in there and make sure that that doesn't happen. Your foundation is still good, intact, and, operating the way it needs to operate. And last is prevents mold growth. Mold can begin developing within 24 to 48 hours. Immediate extraction eliminates the moisture source it needs to thrive. So mold needs moisture to grow and get started and things like that. So when we come in and we remove that moisture from the situation, it's a game changer. Okay, it's going to do a lot for you for your property, because what's going to happen when we come in there with that extraction is going to stop that mold from growing, right, or even starting to grow. Like, we're attacking at the source, which is very important. Thing to do, thing to happen. So it's very important for all this stuff. Water damage is a big problem. Water damage can destroy your property. Water damage can cause hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in damage, depending on the situation. So we want that water removed as fast as possible. We want you to be in a situation where you're comfortable with uh, your property, and it's dry and it's prepared for the way it needs to be situated, and things like that. So that's what we're doing over here. We're providing these things for you and having it done the right way. And what better way to do that with something like the monsoon, right? Get in there and get it done properly with the big vac hoses and long hoses and things like that. Water damage is a big problem. We don't want that to be a problem for you, especially for your floors. So let the experts steam cleaning get in there and get you right, get you taken care of. Things that lead love. Expert steam cleaning, water damage restoration experts. Let's go.